Okay. Um, my name is Zach. Um, I apologize if this video is going to be a little rambly. I'm really not used to this. I've done videos before, but usually I have a script. This whole talking straight to the camera thing off the cuff is really not me at all. So I apologize if I ramble, and I'll try to get to the point. Um, the long story short of it is that after, say, 26 years of going to church, of going to Bible study, going to chorus, being a good, faithful Christian. Recently, certain events happened to me that I think turned me to the path of atheism. Now, it's not like I had anything tragic. I think a lot of atheists, well, not atheists, Christians think that atheists only happen when Christians have something tragic in their life and they reject God. And I believe that too at one point, but I don't think that's the case at all. For me, it was a gradual slide. Wasn't any one thing. It was a series of things that led to the snowball growing and growing, and finally I hit the bottom of the slope, and now bam. Um, I apologize if my voice is low. It's been a long night of work. This night's like 12:30. What am I doing? But the point is, uh, that led to me becoming an atheist. It wasn't any major event. It was a snowballing thing. It started, I think, when I actually read the Bible. Full disclosure, in case you think that I've led some sort of lax lifestyle up to then and I'm just making this crap up. My father is a preacher, pastor. He's been all his life. He raised me well as a Christian. I was raised as a very good Christian. I know the Bible, okay? I mean, I'm fairly familiar with it. I've missed maybe, I could probably count on my hands the days of church that I've missed in my entire life. It really has been that little, barely. But maybe might miss like one day of church a year, if that. And sometimes I would have more church than that. So I go to like church in the evening, little events and stuff, whatever. But the point is, I was raised as a solid Christian from birth on out. My father has more books in his library of books on Christianity than most actual libraries have. He has like hundreds of these things, and I had to get him a Kindle in order to make sense of that. Because anyway, um, so the point is, I've been a faithful Christian all my life, and you would think that I'd be the last person to have this happen to, but it really wasn't any major thing. If I had to say point one thing that really got things rolling, I'd say was my brother. Um, my brother is homosexual. Okay, and at the time when I was growing up, I like most American good Christians had a very low opinion of homosexuals. I thought homosexuality was a choice. I thought that there was something wrong with them. I thought they were, Satan spawn, whatever you want to call it. I didn't have a favorable view of it. Um, and I didn't have a favor. Obviously, him being my little brother growing up, we didn't get along at all. In fact, I'm pretty sure I called him out. I said a couple things that in hindsight I really really wish I could take back about him. Things that I really shouldn't have said. Things that I've seriously regret. But in recent years, I got to know my brother, and I got to love my brother, and I got to know him as a person. And but in doing that, while I did that, I also read this book here, the Bible, about what it says about homosexuality. Now, typically, when I hear people cite the Bible as some sort of argument against homosexuality, they typically use Leviticus, and they typically use that church about it being that verse about being an abomination unto God. However, as much of times that I heard that verse, when I actually looked it up, I noticed there was a part of it that they typically did not use. And that was a part about it being an abomination to God and the fact that you should kill them. Now, that kind of bugged me because I've been in a lot of sermons and I don't remember the killing part to be something that's typically enforced. So I read more of the Bible, and I noticed that's not an atypical thing. There's a lot lot of killing and stuff that you're supposed to do to, you know, witches and people that generally disagree with you. In fact, the Bible's really, really violent, which kind of bugs me because growing up, I got a lot of flack for violent video games. But this book is more violent than any video game I've played in my entire life. I mean, Mortal Kombat has nothing on this. Nothing on this book. But anyway, yeah, my brother's homosexual. I got to know him better. And I got to know him as a person. I noticed we have a lot of things in common. I noticed he has a love for movies. He likes silent movies. That's something that really took me by surprise. He's like, what, 18? He likes, what kind of 18-year-old likes silent movies? Who heard of that? We watched the Artist together. Good movie, by the way. Had a good time. We watched like little wrist tracks and stuff. He's an idiot sometimes, but I love my brother, okay? I got to love my brother, and I'm glad we have that relationship. And it's a relationship I would never have had if I hadn't learned to respect him as a person and look past the homosexuality into who he really was. And when I realized that maybe the Bible was wrong on homosexuality, that maybe homosexuals aren't an abomination that needs to die, I kind of started questioning other things about it too. If I had to say something that really nailed the coffin in it for me, I say Noah's Ark. That if there's ever like a passage of the Bible that you read, and when you really stop and think about it, it makes absolutely no sense. It's Noah's Ark. Because I thought about that for like 5 seconds, and it just, I mean, I knew the story my entire life, but I actually thought about it, seriously, for like a minute, and just, the whole thing fell apart. And it bothers me that other people can't do that too. I mean, if you really think about Noah's Ark, it makes no sense. The backflips and mental hijinks you have to do to make that thing make sense is just, I mean, if anything else in life happened with that many implausible things happening, you just assume it didn't happen at all. But for some reason, this is an exception here. I don't really get that. I don't get how that makes any sense. But maybe I'll do that if I ever get around to making another video. If I even publish this video, I'll go do that. Do like a Noah's Ark breakdown or something, whatever. But the point is, ramble. The point is that it occurred to me that the Bible is probably not all entirely true, and that maybe the God in here isn't what I should be worshiping. Maybe calling me an atheist is wrong. Maybe God does exist. But if God does exist, I don't think it's the God that's in that book. And if the God in that book is real, then that's really depressing. So, whatever. I'm going somewhere with this. Oh, another thing that happened to me that kind of made me think about it. Recently, my Aunt Louise passed. And it wasn't a very happy passing. Well, there's no such thing as a happy passing now, is there? But she'd been suffering for about 5 years. Really bad, I mean. And I'll be honest, I was kind of a coward about it. I didn't really get to see her until the last throes of it, or whether it was like a week ago I went in to see her before she died. And it's a fate I wouldn't wish on anybody. She was alive, her eyes were moving, but she couldn't move, she couldn't talk. I don't even know if she realized where she was. It was like she was I guess the word you use is vegetable. It's not the way you want to go. In fact, if I ever have to go that way, I'd just as soon you pull the plug, to be perfectly honest, because that's not living. That's not living at all. But what really got me is that in church, the day that I went to see her, my father wasn't in church. He had got a replacement pastor to take his place while he looked over my aunt in her final days. And the replacement pastor was really, really big on faith healing. And I mean, really, really big on it. She was talking about holy water, I think. Holy water and healing power. She told the story about, I think it was her daughter that went to the hospital because some of her intestines got twisted up or something. And she said that when the doctor went to open her intestines, the doctor said her intestines unraveled themselves. And she claimed that was prayer. And she claimed other instances of prayer helping her. And for a minute, everybody was really into this. I mean, really, really into this, sir. Everybody was really, really into this. And for a minute, just a minute, I kind of felt that power. And I kind of felt, if you've ever been a Christian, you understand it. If you've ever been like a real deep into it, you might understand it. I felt like I believed again. For a minute, I felt like I believed. And then it was a powerful feeling. But then I went to see my aunt and how she was. And she was a good Christian woman. I mean, my whole family is just deep in Christianity. My father, he laxed a little bit in his youth. He laxed a little bit in his youth, but he came into it and he obviously became a pastor. He dedicated his whole entire life to that. I mean, he is hardcore into it. And my family is all Christian, goes without saying. I'm probably the only, well, I might not be, but more than likely I'm the only atheist in my entire family, which is just going to be fun someday to get out and open. Hey, Dad, your one of your sons is an atheist, the other's gay. Enjoy. But anyway, ooh, but anyway, my aunt, I'm going to go see my aunt, and she was a good Christian woman. And I was thinking, what did she do to deserve that? I mean, to be put in that situation. Now, surely my father's been praying for her all this time, for 5 years, and he's a good Christian man if there ever was one. I mean, he's like the Noah. Well, I don't want to say Noah. He's a very good Christian man, undoubtedly. And she was a good Christian woman, my aunt was. And my mom was a good Christian woman. My entire family was full of good Christian women who've surely been praying for my aunt day in and day out for 5 years. But nonetheless, my aunt died in one of the worst ways I can ever imagine someone die. And I was thinking, where's the sense in that? Why would God miraculously heal some person, then torture somebody for 5 years? And I think that's, if I ever had to put a nail in the coffin, that would be it right there. And so here I am now. And I stand before you, a rare black atheist. Take that for what it's worth.